What you're listening to now is my third attempt at this podcast episode I'm about to record right now. The last two episodes haven't done well, but I expect it. This is not introspection. This is just me narrating history that some of you already know. So the listenership on the last two episodes have not been up there. It doesn't bother me. I've had worse numbers. What I'm trying to make is there are so many hindrances to this episode I'm recording right now. And if you're listening to this, kudos to you. First hindrance is one. I know not many people are interested in it, but we're still going to continue it. This is the last episode of this whole Nigeria history series. And this is what I call the deductions. The second difficulty is that I have this immense catarrh. I don't know, man. My throat is itchy, my nose is running, and it is Sunday night, which means I'm recording this episode so late I have to get it ready so that you can listen to it on Monday morning as you are now, or whenever you're listening to it. Thankfully, the deductions, I had written them like 5 days ago. So I'm just going to run through the list of the things that I noticed after researching and finding out all this whole thing about our history. The first thing is that we were not here when this history was happening. When the military government was taking over and this and that was happening, you, me, were not here. Maybe some older people were there, but according to the back end of this podcast, the people who listen to the podcast, the majority of the listeners are from age 23 to 28. And so I know we're not here, which means our subjective experience of this country does not have anything that encourages tribalism, which means within these ages that I've just mentioned, if any strong bigotry or tribalism exists within you, me, or anybody around this age group, it was passed on through stories from the older people that we let influence us, which means we can actually cohabit and fight for what I would call a common goal. And we have a common goal. If you don't see it here that you have a common goal in this country at this point now, regardless of tribe, I'm going to explain further in one of the deductions what our common goal is. But I'm pretty sure you have an idea. The second thing is recycled leadership. Recently, I heard that there was this opposition summit held in Ibadan where a lot of people from all opposition parties, basically every party that is not APC, held a summit. Because the thing that we are thinking about in this country now is that no matter what, we have to remove this APC and this Tinubu government, that they are actively ruining millions of lives. Let me digress a little. Money that they've borrowed in the last 3 months, let's just say money that they borrowed in 2026 is enough to subsidize petrol again. And if petrol comes down, everything else comes down. But $500 and something million, none of it is going towards anything that will affect your life positively. Anyway, so that's the thing. So the opposition party, all of them had a meeting. Atiku was there. I saw a picture of him sleeping at the event. Well, all these opposition parties decided that they are going to join hands together as a coalition to remove the APC. But if there's one thing I've learned from the history that I've been reading on this podcast in the last 2 episodes, is that we've always been recycling leaders. And they've always found a way to repackage it time and time again so that the people cannot decode that this is recycling. The consciousness and the awareness of the Nigerian people has not always been up there. Even if these days with the internet and everything, with younger people being interested in politics, it is improving. But they are still ahead. And I think this is another tactic. You see this opposition then, like in quotes, air quotes, opposition people that are trying to call. Yes, so we might agree that yes, we need to remove APC first before doing anything else. But there's not going to be any difference. God, I don't want to be prophesying something that I will now say, I told you guys later on when Peter Obi wins and then nothing is really improving. But it is still the same people. And they will not do anything different from what they've been doing in this country from time immemorial. And if you want to know who my candidate is or what I want us to do at the end of the day, if I'm not in support of Tinubu and I'm also not in support of the so-called opposition coalition, I'll let you know, because it's in one of the things that I wrote down as well. Well, the third observation is foreign influence. The level of foreign interest in this country, the level of foreign influence in this country is staggering. Our country is basically run by foreign interests because we sold ourselves to them. When we were little, there used to be this running joke of selling the country. if Atiku becomes president, he will sell this country. You know, all that sell the country joke. And it's something that they've actively been doing. If you're borrowing money from a foreign government in the name of building something for your state or for your country, and in the terms of that agreement, if you do not service that debt or pay it back within a certain time frame, you will have to forfeit that thing you built in your country to that government or those people, you know. Even if it's not to forfeit it officially, they will now have a say on how that thing is run. So if a port is built in my country, and my government borrowed money from China to build that port, they will control it if I can't pay. And Nigeria is not interested in paying any debts. All our recycled leaders always borrow money to fund their lifestyle, to spend and to share. And nobody has done it as blatantly as Tinubu. Why is everybody in the APC? It's because every governor in Nigeria, APC or not, is receiving a shit ton of money. He's collecting money and he's sharing it to the governors like there's no tomorrow. Governors it's in the name of allocation, no? But they know, obviously, the mechanisms and the system has already been set up that governors can steal money and go scot-free with it. So the system is already there, fertile ground for him to now use it as a system to fund the governors. We'll call it allocation, but he knows they will not use it to do anything, and he will not hold them accountable if they don't use it to do anything. So let me not digress too much. What was the point I was making? Yes, foreign interference. All of us know Tinubu forfeited $400-something thousand. That was heroin money in the US, right? If they are serious, you know, they would have actually called him, extradited him, arrested him for his crimes. But if he can be president of the biggest black nation in the country, in the world, then he will be an asset for them. You know, there's motive for US to use our president as their asset. And so everything that the country is doing is going to be for the sake of their own benefits, not us. And so a coalition of, waiting to record them again, a coalition of opposition parties coming to take over government cannot do anything for us independently. We are still tied to the rest of the world somehow. So existing agreement, we have to still stand, because the agreement was not necessarily with Tinubu. On paper, it was with the Nigerian government. So even your new president will have to bend to what has been in place, unless he is a radical, stubborn person that will say, what, we will not agree. Do your worst, you know? But everybody else in the opposition has been in government before, and some are still in government while they are fighting the current administration. So, yeah. So, the next thing I did is that there are two classes of Nigerians. The ones who are very close to government, who eat off the government, who are chopping our commonwealth, and then the rest of us. Those are the two classes of people in this country. There's no Igbo or Yoruba, no Lagos people and this other people. It is the elites, people who have access to government money. And by government money, I mean oil money. When there's revenue, like money comes into the country, there are people who touch it, and there's a way it is distributed. There are people who benefit strongly from our country's revenue. It is them and then us. And those people who benefit strongly from the country's revenue, they are also in that opposition meeting. And it is, you are the last person, you and me now, or whoever is listening to this, you are the last person to catch this update I'm telling you now. Because the people on the other side, like I said, it's divided into two. We, our side, we don't even know that we are one side of the divide. But the other people, they are together. They know that they are one side. It is they know it is them against you. But you now, you don't know that there are people who are organized against you. We are fighting amongst ourselves, not knowing that we have a common enemy who sees all of us as the same. The elite Yoruba man in government doesn't think he is on the same side with the poor Yoruba man. No. Poor is where he draws the line. Once you are not under their team where they are sharing our commonwealth, you are outside, regardless of your tribe. Some dickhead voted Tinubu because he was his brother. I can't blame them. Which even leads me to my next point. If you are stupid, what can anybody do for you? You know, that's your lot. With that level of stupidity, he cannot help himself. It's the best he can do. That's where his sense reach. So he thought that was what was right. So my next point, good intentions does not equal competence. Good intention does not signify competence. Because somebody wants to come in and fix Nigeria, doesn't mean he will come in and fix Nigeria. It doesn't mean he's qualified or good enough to come in and fix Nigeria. We cannot be running on intention. We need somebody who is who is intentional and also capable. And that is why I think the best person for Nigeria's presidency would be Showore. And I wish everybody would throw their weight behind him. But the reality is, with this country, more than half of the people that are against the current administration are behind the ADC and Peter Obi, which, in my opinion, is just nothing more than a lesser evil. The final thing on this list, let me just read it why I wrote it, because I probably won't know how to explain it if I don't read it out loud. The oil, the riches, it's mine. It's my land by virtue of birth and ethnicity. How poetic. This means that the way Nigerians detach themselves from this country and its affairs is alarmingly wrong. Imagine if your father has built a house now in Jos, in Abuja, in Lagos, in your village, and one of your uncle, not an outsider, your uncle, your father's brother that did not build the house, is coming in and saying, okay, they should tear down this fence here. He comes in, the TV your father puts in the house, he grabs it and takes it outside. He doesn't come back with it. The bed, because somebody is sleeping on it, the bed in one room that nobody is using, he'll come and carry it. Would you fight? So what makes you feel like the oil money is not your own? What makes you feel like the land in this country, the roads, is not your own? Like, not our own. You. Because you were born inside this country. You were born inside. This is where you draw identity from. If you close your eyes now and wake up in anywhere random in this world, you would want to find your way back to Nigeria, because you know that is your home. Now, because it is your home, and it is your home with like 200 other people as well, we have to find a few people to represent us so that this our home can be run well. And then that is why we have government. And then somebody now there is taking your oil. God put oil. This is your home now that you came from. Coincidentally, there is oil under, which is supposed to fund the people and make people chop life as per our home. Some people do you understand that it is yours? Because I feel like people don't have, not you people, not these listeners, no. But you see them on the internet. People I'm talking about, you see them on the internet. It's like you don't have ownership mindset. People want to jackpot. Yeah. Don't worry. Have you heard of Windrush? When all these people from Jamaica and the Caribbean moved into the UK, and they all became old and even had children, before you know, they say all of you is be going back to your country. It's not happening in South Africa now. Because your identity is not, you can't fake it. There's a place you come from originally. If you like, don't find it and take care of it. Shege will do you. If you're listening to the GoodLiving podcast and you're listening to this, you have sense much more than many Nigerians. And I believe that is responsibility within itself, because now you have a duty to share the information, to educate people around you. Let them know the correct thing. I'm not saying vote who I vote to, because it is your information that now leads to your conviction. And if you're casting a vote, it will be something that you cast and go and sleep at home peacefully with. So if you will not sleep peacefully with the vote you cast, there is no point doing it. So at the end of the day, still vote who you want to vote. Be it Tinubu, be it Showore, be it Obi, and any other person. But have the information that you have and share it so that other people can have information and then make the decisions that they would make off of that information. Let me go and treat my runny nose and my sore throat and catarrh. Hopefully, by the time we drop our next episode, all of this, my nasal issues would be a thing of the past. Hey, remember, I've been house hunting and I have found a place. Finally, I found the house. And then I wanted to find a place and settle in before I give you like my whole house hunting chronicles, because that's an episode that definitely has to come. Thank you very much for listening to the GoodLiving podcast. I love you guys, and bye. See you next week.